Greetings, everyone. Rev.Hawksblood here, calling from the Big Island of Hawaii. Hope you're okay. Are you ready for a new show? Ready for a new topic? All right, the topic is, do you talk to aliens or do you talk to God? All right, or gods, plural. It's been the thing I've been dealing with a lot of people around me lately. One person particularly says he's God. Totally believes it. Many people believe they are one with God. There's a lot of different viewpoints on that. But if we trace out history, what did people talk to? There's another word, deities, and obviously we know about angels. So there's a combination of what each one plays and how they work with each other, how they interfere with each other, and how they work and interfere with this planet. So I'm waiting for my host. I don't see her. I hope she's okay. But if she doesn't come on, hope she's better, gets better. Hope the situation ain't too bad. Usually she would get in touch with me one way or another. All right, people. Now there's a chat room. Let me just make sure that it's open. Okay, you can go into the chat room, ask any questions. You can come on if you really feel like you have something important to say. Well, somebody's saying something about my messages, but okay. All right, let's start in the beginning. First religions that were here. All right, in the very beginning, they were worshiping animals, and people created their god from that. A word god, which was created by man much later, but they gave their energy, they gave sacrifices, they did a lot of different things for their god. But in the interim, how does that interact with what we're going through right now? Well, I think we're in the most serious trouble we have ever been in, and it is a combination of problems with the planet, problems with people, and problems with aliens. Not too many people are aware of what's going on in the alien world. The government didn't release much last couple weeks ago. They're not saying much about it, not releasing what they really do and what's really happening. I'm going to tell you, I've been involved with it all my life, so it's not a new thing. I have probably more experience and knowledge about a lot of things than a lot of other people do, because I was only 6 years old when it all started for me. All right, people, let's get into it. When I was little, my first experience, I was 6 years old, and I was in the hospital with my brother having my tonsils taken out. So was he for the second time. They screwed up the first time. And we were put in cribs, and in those cribs, they had these bars they pulled up on the side so you can't fall out, get out. Well, he was in the crib next to me. He was across the way, and basically, he was on the other side of the room, and there was one other person in our room on the right corner. He was on the left corner. And all of a sudden, it was about 12 midnight, and I was talking to the one boy across the way on the other side of the room. And my brother's standing up screaming, and he goes to the back of the crib screaming, "Tommy, Tommy, Tommy." And I look, and I see the window's like real bright, and he's screaming. So I jump out of my crib, run over to the window, and there's this ship not too far out shooting this big white beam light into the window. And what I did, don't ask me why, how, or whatever, I put my hands on the window like that, and whatever it was shot back out into space. But at that point, I knew I was protected. And from that point on, I always felt this strange protection and awareness that I had. Over the years, multiple things happened. I got involved with things. I was doing hypnosis at 14, started doing past life regression, as well as I was doing past life regression. I was doing psychic implant removals, and I learned a lot by doing that as well. I learned much more than most of these people doing hypnosis know right now, because you can program a person to do anything you want them to do, even if they don't want to do it. Not like they say, you can't be forced to do things you don't want to do, which is a lie. I'm not going to get into the whole hypnosis thing, but I did do it my younger part of my life. And I was the first person to do past life regression. I made cards up, and I was doing it. I lived in Jersey. I wasn't doing it for money. I was just doing it for friends and people that I know. But when I got pulled into this whole UFO thing, it kind of changed my life. I was involved with UFOs as well. I mean, seeing them all the time. So to me, it wasn't like a new thing. Are they real or not? I mean, it started too young. But at the same time, I started a spiritual quest, and which I consider much more important than a UFO quest, uh, to deal with UFOs and aliens and stuff like that. Because the spiritual side is where we go when we die and things like that, which are much important whether we're going to play with aliens in this lifetime. So what I'm going to get into it is, who do we really talk to? When do we start talking to who, what, and where? All right, back to the beginning. People were talking to what they created: alien gods, creature gods, animal, half human and half animals. And then it became Buddhism, which is Hinduism, sorry, which was the first religion on the planet. And they work with deities. Deities were much more human, but they did have multiple arms, multiple legs as symbols and stuff. I'm not going to get into the details what people experienced and how they dealt with them at that time frame. They made lots of drawings and spoke about it. But technology changes a lot of things in history, the same as our viewpoints and ideas of certain things, like what a deity really is. Some people have no clue. They could worship them all their life and have no clue what they really are. And what are they? Well, did they come here physically? Were they physically walking around on the planet? The stories say yes. Even in Mexico, Quetzalcoatl was a man, and when he died, he became a god. Uh, so these stories get created from man's belief or ideas. Whether they're real or not, it's a different story. I'm not going to get into the Anunnaki story. I'm not going to get into all the other alien stories that are out there. I do not believe in Anunnaki were the people that created us, because they weren't. All right. They did help destroy us as a human race, and so did a couple other races. Now, you're going to hear constantly at any UFO conference and all these things, well, they deal with this race and they deal with that race. This is a good race, and they work with us. Well, to me, 99% of everything you hear is going to be a lie. Am I going to give you those same lies? No, I'm not. The person that's on that should be on my show and isn't right now, she lives in England. She's been abducted most of her life. And she has more proof of the things that happened to her than anybody else I know in the UFO world. But getting back to the point, when we talk about people that are in the UFO conferences, saying they work with them, they come and meet them, take them out at night and things like that. Well, the word's abduction, and that's been here for a really long time. The UFO world is trying to eliminate that word. They changed the word from abduction to experiences. And most of the time, experiencer means they had a good experience. And basically, they're in their bed and they're taken. Whether it was a dream, there's no real proof of anything other than what they physically think they know. All right. And that's, could be a dream. It could be anything. It could be drugs. It could be just feelings and emotions that they twist into a story. But as we go further, as we move along, when we start growing in our own awareness, we need to find a religion, a path, something to kind of guide us and protect us, or what we feel is what we need in our lives. The creation of God, like I said, was in the beginning, and they were called deities. And then later on, the Egyptians, the Mayan, the Aztecs, the word is, my little guy's trying to get in. Well, they were aliens. Sorry about that. So as we started unfolding, which we call it for a word, aliens came and started playing with people all through our history. We had giants here. I'm not going to talk about them much because I didn't work with them in general, but most races kill them. including inside the United States. The native people killed them. Wherever they were killed. The one story in the Bible, David and Goliath, he's killed. But that was the book in Enoch, and all the stories about the giants was kind of taken out of the Bible. I guess I didn't want to put too much energy on that. But the Egyptians and the Mayans, we go by hieroglyphics and what was in the pyramids and caves and everything else. They show symbols, they show things, they kind of try to explain reincarnation in words. What they did proved that they didn't know what they were talking about. For them to say they were working with gods, well, I don't see why any god would have to lie to us. The Egyptians' hieroglyphics and all the stories about reincarnation, what they work with and all that, if you look at them, and even if you try to translate it to the simplest form, are twisted ideas. Never mind what they actually did to a body that died. To expect it to come back and go into that body again. Well, all the stories. And if we go into, okay, because the Mayan, and they talk about the Mayan calendar. Who do you think created the Mayan calendar? It was given to them. But sadly, it wasn't accurate. Some of the things on it are, but some of it isn't. Billy Myers, who's was a big name in the UFO world a long time ago, made 100 prophecies. He sent them around the world to every government. And basically, and I have to admit this, thank you. Got an email in the chat room. Basically, the Mayan calendar gave a lot of facts and stuff, what was supposed to happen, when it was supposed to happen. Realize time was different. Time's always changing. And as we move forward, it becomes a totally different reality. We can't prove anything as far as time, when we came to this planet, when we started, or any of those kind of things, when dinosaurs actually left, when did men separate from dinosaurs, and all those ideas are just ideas. Thinking we could tell time and history by carbon and things like that, and how the layers of the planet, the layers of the dirt, they can show you things, events of how things change, but accuracy, I truly doubt it, because basically we did live with dinosaurs. And that's proven by the artifacts that they found. But something that throws a kink into everything we do is basically called an out-of-place artifact. And what that means is, and I'll explain it to you, means aliens could do time travel much, much further back than we could ever, because they gave the technology time to Tesla. All right. Now, what they can do, just imagine this. They take something from their time frame, whatever it is, a rock or a knife, whatever, and they bring it to the present, and they throw it in a volcano, or they throw it somewhere, they put it underground. Now, when it's found, which means like how many years, thousands of years later, it's not in the time frame that it should be. So it's not equal to the time frame. But when it's like a knife that was put in lava and it became hard and it was found, my partner I used to do UFO stuff with had an out-of-place artifact, and it was a knife inside a rock. The rock was over 500 years old, and the knife was made in 1897, somewhere around there. It's called an out-of-place artifact. It can't exist, and it doesn't have a physical idea or meaning of how it was created. But getting back to the point, aliens had time travel, so they could put things back and forth in time. They were able to move things greater in size and weight. So obviously they could create a history to change a history that exists already. All right. When they keep finding pyramids every year, more pyramids here, more pyramids there. Well, I'm not saying that they're all kind of being brought here and placed here at different time frames, but they can be changed. What's inside them can be changed, and everything that man believes to be true can be twisted. Now, out of all the artifacts ever found, something like the Shroud of Turin, they still cannot prove it or disprove it. And I think that's incredible. Uh, I'll get into that later, but as far as why it's important is because people today, as they start dealing with other things like aliens, start changing their belief system, good or bad. I'm not saying Christianity or Muslimism, Hinduism, Jewish religions are anything close to the truth, because they probably are not. Mankind has really never described a real God ever in history, which is mind boggling. And the closest they do come is to an alien or a deity. Now, deities aren't solid in the physical, where aliens are. So, what makes a God? Now, I did ask the question, are you talking to aliens or gods? What makes a God? Definitions in the dictionary and things like that have very little definition of what it is, because nobody knows. And that's what you hear all the time. Nobody knows that. Nobody knows that. Well, most people don't know that. And if you put the truth out there, most people don't want to know what you're going to tell them. Truth hurts. Truth's not like the most happiest, positive thing you ever want to hear. Because when you hear the truth, if somebody's telling the truth about you, well, your nose is too big, your ears are too big, your mouth, this, or you smell, you don't want to hear the things that they're going to tell you. So, yeah, most people hide from the truth. You're too big. Really? You're too skinny. But the truth is, most people don't want to deal with the truth. So, when Christianity created the definition of God, per se, in our newer time frame in the past 2,000 years, it's kind of accepted. Stories become real if they're told over and over again. People start accepting them, like the story of Adam and Eve, Noah's Ark. I mean, were they real or not? When they find artifacts that kind of prove that it was real, it's a little bit different. But even then again, today, in the UFO world, they're trying to say Noah's Ark had DNA of all animals. And if they even read the Bible, they know that it was like only 120 pairs of animals, not like all the animals on the planet. Where he went with the ark, he only could take the animals that were there. It's not like creatures came across the ocean to be with them, to get on the ark and things like that. And second of all, when the flood happened, the world will always be a bigger percentage of water. But there will always be land here as well. So if one part of the planet's flooded, there's going to be mountains and everything else still sticking out of the water. Most history is complete lies. Stories are mostly lies, twisted, programmed truth that people put together. All right. Now, when the Mayans were given the Mayan calendar, who gave it to them? Why were they giving it to them? Well, if you believe the Anunnaki story or any of the other stories, it's all about programming people to accept certain things. And we're going through that right now with multi-billionaires. But the idea that somebody has the truth, well, some person's truth will never be what everybody else's truth is. All right. And there is a truth. And I hate to tell people there is a real truth. Just because you don't accept it, or you don't want to accept it, or you only want to accept a small part of it, that doesn't mean truth's not real. And the same is like, oh, people say, well, there's no good and bad. Well, if there's no good and bad, there's no balance of anything. And the concept of good and bad is based on what you believe in. I mean, on the planet itself, people around the world have different beliefs on sex and children and age and all those kind of things. When you can smoke, when you're allowed to get married, and man creates a lot of the rules and regulations for it. But the spiritual laws exist as well. But we don't follow them on this planet. I'm not saying we should, even though we should, but people want to believe what they want to believe. And the programs come from, usually in the greatest percentage, the Bible, the parents, their family, whatever religion they choose to follow, and they start accepting their ideas. Now, ideas go into the brain. Everything you learn, the brain puts a little wrinkle in it. And it's like when you use your computer and you click on save, it goes into a file. Your brain does the same thing. So everything that's fed into it stays there. I'm not saying if you get dementia and all those other things where you might not be able to touch those files, but those files are still there. So when you start doing that, the mind, that's the computer, can only run on the programs that's fed to it. All right. So when we have all these programs fed to us, it can't create a truth outside of that box. And I'm going to go into a few things like past life uh, regression, incarnation, and things like that, because there's a difference there. And let me get this straight right now. People say, well, we're all one consciousness. I mean, that's a belief system. Who created it? Mostly the idea of that came from Buddha. All right, the teachings of Buddha and Buddhism. All right, people have started to accept the idea of we're all one consciousness over the past 20, 25 years, maybe more so over the past 10 years, and it keeps growing. And as that grows, the idea of a real God disappears. More people are saying they are God, or they're one with God. But now, with the UFO world expanding as much as it is, the people in the UFO world are trying to say aliens are teaching them and helping them grow. Are they? Here's the sad part of all this. Well, I'm going to talk about these two things, God and aliens. There's a couple other words that really need to be in there that nobody talks about unless you're going into that subject, which is outside of the other two. And the words demons and entities. All right. In the psychic world and things like that, I was doing Ghostbusting when I was 16. But in those realms, you're dealing with something totally different. It's not an idea of God or aliens. It's about souls that are stuck here. And where did they come from? How did they get here? Whose soul are they? And then when demons pop out, it becomes worse. Now, you might not believe these facts, but these facts you can actually pull up and find out and search out yourself. The word entities and creatures are real. And there's more being found every day, more being filmed every day. If you watch shows like Paranormal and all these kind of shows, they go around ghost busting and things like that, they're starting to talk to spirits and getting senses back. And then they do research and they prove that people die there and what happened and all these things. Well, soul has its limitations of what it can do. And that word that people don't like is called karma. Karma is cause and effect. What you create, you have to pay off. Not like Jesus takes it away, not Buddha takes it away, God doesn't take it away. You work it off as a person. Now, no magical person on the planet could take away your karma. They can tell you whatever you want to hear, but it's not real. They can't tell you all your past lives. Nobody can. If you don't experience them, it doesn't matter what anybody tells you. And if I told you were Superman, would you believe it? I hope not. But if I told you were the king of something or gladiator and this, and you were this, or a famous medicine man or famous whatever, you would accept it. Well, I want to be that. You accept what you want, but you don't accept the truth. Because the truth probably isn't what you want. Now, I'll give you a simple definition. Soul, what we are, not this body, what lives inside this body, all right, has its own awareness. And it's not the mind's awareness. So right there, the consciousness idea doesn't affect soul because it's not based on programs, where the mind is based on programs. So when you learn about astral projection, which is evil, remote viewing is evil. Astral projection is the first step of learning how to leave your body, all right, which is really important in this world. If you can't do it, you might not ever understand soul. Well, I always have intuition. So I just had a discussion with a person who said, well, intuition is part of mind as well. But when it comes from soul itself, you know something's going to happen. Whether the mind allows you is a totally different story. But here's the thing. When you I'm going to give you a simple technique. I'm going to be doing a workshop and teach people about a lot of things if they're ready to move forward. And I don't think too many people are. Okay, the worst program that mankind has is the idea they came back, if they believe in reincarnation, they came back to help mankind. It's the most ridiculous idea. And if you want to know why, it's real simple. But people believe, oh, they had to come back. Now, what's even worse than that, in the UFO world, people believe they told aliens in their last life that they can come and abduct them in this life. Well, we're supposed to be becoming more aware of what we are as soul. That's our main purpose here. Nothing else. But if you think your mission is to help mankind, and suddenly you were reincarnated again, you're back here to help mankind do what? Become aware of what you don't know? We have this twisted idea when everybody says they have their truth. Ask yourself right now, what is your truth? What you were programmed to believe. Now, I'm having more problems with people that deal with past life and reincarnation. I mean, they're aware of certain things, but they always say they were somebody better. Soul usually moves forward, yes, meaning each lifetime it moves a little bit further down the road, getting closer to what it really needs to learn. It usually doesn't go backwards unless you create too much karma in a lifetime, which you got to pay off, like murder, killing, rape, those kind of words. All right. As you work with karma, you come into a world that has its own karma. This world is karma. No problem. I'll put my email up there and everything, just so you know, because it's. Let me just put this on it online, and I'll get back to this. I put 2 W's in there. Sorry, it's 1 W. It's Hawk. I tried to do 2 things at once for me. All right. How about that? Now, when we talk about karma, all right, and we're in a planet that has karma, and we're trying to deal with it. You don't get rid of it easily, and the world has its own karma. So when you come here, you're breathing air, you're drinking water, we pollute the air, we toxify the grounds and everything. That's part of the karma we came into. So what we are has to choose, I mean, not by itself, where it's going to start, at what time frame. We usually started many lifetimes ago, all right, and we start learning from that point. Soul is forced to come down to the slowest realm. It's like when you go to school, you got to start in kindergarten. You don't go into college and then go to kindergarten later. So soul usually progresses. And a lot of famous people probably won't reincarnate into a homeless person in the next life. They don't need to. But then again, if they created so much karma, like people like Musk and Gates and stuff, I'm not even going to go into what happens to them when they reincarnate. Because what you do when you try to change reality, you are playing God in this reality. You can't do much in the astral plane because you don't even know how to get there. But in this reality, when you deal with your karma, all right, each thing you do is helping or removing. Helping remove your karma or adding to it. Every action you do. So it's a game. It's like a bank. You put money in, you take money out. You put money in, take it out. How much money you got in your bank when you die? How much money did you take out when you die? So it's a matter of being in balance with who you are and learning how to live with that place in this reality. So when I ask you, what are you as far as you, when you say you are aware, you have your own truth? What is that truth? Ask yourself, write it down on a piece of paper, what you think your truth is. Oh, I believe in God. I believe in heaven. I believe. What do you believe in? Probably about 98% lies. If you believe in a God, How do you believe in something you don't know what it is? Straight off the top, very few souls will ever experience God itself. They'll experience angels and deities, but you will not experience God. And second of all, God does not come down to this vibration. All right. It's like taking a person and putting them on the water and let them stay down there for an hour. How long is he going to live? It would destroy the planet if God came into this planet. The vibration would just blow it apart. The whole universe would explode. It's the lowest vibration. And when God's light and sound, you always hear love and light, light and sound. Well, God radiates that. God's not a person, so it's a lot different. I'm not going to get into that right now. But when it comes down through the different realms, and there's multiple realms, it becomes weaker and weaker until it hits planet Earth. So this is the weakest signal and experience you can get from God itself. And there's a reason for that. Because God's allowing soul to grow. I mean, if God wanted us all to be aware, it would make us all aware. But what would God learn from that? Now, I know religions teach God knows everything, is everything, but no, God is not. God wouldn't have to have bad dreams or anything if it was totally aware of everything. Like why it allows us to do what we do on this planet. We are given freedom, but when it creates things, it grows. Created dinosaurs, created insects, created different things, and watched it. It learns by what it creates, so it's constantly learning. But here's the thing, people, to think anybody could ever catch up to that, realize there's thousands and thousands of universes out there, multiple races of beings, entities, creatures, you name it, and each one of them feeds into God. When it learns something, all right, it also learns what we do bad, per se, or well, there's no good and bad, but it learns, it constantly grows in great steps every split second. So to think a person say, well, I'm God, or I'm aware of God, name one thing God's thinking right now and what it thinks about you. When people die, they find out they're not going to see God. Or I saw the light. Well, the light isn't God. And second of all, you need to go through the light to get to the next realm. There's multiple things that people can't teach you because they didn't do it. They didn't experience it. Now, one of the biggest things that people are, I'm sorry I go around in circles. When I do a workshop, I got it all written out. So I'll follow step by step. I'm trying to squeeze a lot of things into this. So just so you know that, why am I going around in circles? Why am I coming back to here and there? All right. But as we go through these things, each movement we make as far as growth, hopefully it's leading us closer to becoming aware of what soul is. That's all. Nothing else. It's not about how many children you can have. It's not about how many people you can marry, how many people you can have sex with. It's not about those kind of things at all. And I was just thinking about this all day yesterday. What is important to 98% of people on the planet? Number one, food. All creatures, all entities, all life needs it. So that's the first thing of concern and needed. What's the second most important thing? Take a wild guess. How about sex? All right. Now, when you're children, you're not thinking about sex. So what's the most important thing you could perceive as being important? Feeling good. Feelings. All right. Let's talk about that. Happiness. The most important thing to anybody who asks, what's the most important thing? Oh, I got to be happy. We need to be happy. We need to feel good. What's feel good mean? The body's happy and stimulated? Having sex that's stimulated? Going on a ride or jumping off a cliff or whatever it is, the stimulation to the body? Yeah, that's basically the highest thrill you can get on this planet. Okay, the water we swim in, drink, and everything is becoming toxic at every level, everywhere around the planet. Many years ago, my brother's a chemist, and I told him all the water in the United States is toxic to some level. He goes, impossible. It took 3 months for him to get back to me. And then he turns around, he got the scientific newsletters, and they're talking about how toxic every lake, river, and stream is. And this was multiple years ago. If Trump was still president, we would have 10 times more toxic going in the air, the water, and everywhere else. All right. If he had changed his viewpoints on that, I might even think he was a right person, but he doesn't believe in that. He doesn't believe in aliens. He doesn't believe a lot of sex is not important, but it is to the average person. Marriage without sex usually doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't even start. I mean, the perception and what we do. Here's the thing I was getting to. The 5 senses of the body come from here, not from soul. When soul steps out of the body, it doesn't take the 5 senses with it. I hope you know what they are. All right. When you smell something, when you sense, when you feel, when you touch something, when you see something, those things are based on eyeballs, the brain cells, the blood, the nervous system in the body. When you step out of the body, you're not connected to that. So it's totally different place. All right. When you're out of the body, when you first experience, it will be the greatest experience you ever have. Because it's beyond all the things you have, and you're also beyond all the 5 senses of the body. 5. You only got 5 senses in the body. Soul has multiple awareness. I can't compare the senses the same way because it's not using a brain to feel them and sense them. It's not using a certain nervous system. The astral body is not solid. Every time you take a step in awareness to a different realm, a higher realm, your body's state of abilities to do things is different. The same as its I can't think of the proper word. Solidness is different. All right. When you get to the highest plane that soul can attain, which is called the soul plane, it's almost light, but it's an aware light, and it has its own definition. All right. And when you attain that, you might not ever leave that. The soul plane is where most souls eventually will attain and stay. And it's not God. And it's not like God awareness. I mean, you're God aware. There's a big difference between being God and being God aware. At that point, when you're in the soul plane, just about anything you want to create and do is there. It's incredible. When you take it down to the astral plane, when you leave this reality to go there, it's 100 times better than being here. Now, why? You're not dealing with the same 5 senses anymore. The stimulation and the things that make a person, if you go, sex isn't important. It was always important up until Jesus came here. When relationships became love rather than just a prison camp for a woman, it became different. But okay, up to now, when we deal with the senses, all right, it was sexual. The deities, all of them, it was all about sex. Hinduism was all about Kama Sutra, and it was always about sexual stimulation. All right, so don't say it's not sex. It always was, and it's still important today. Every commercial, everything you see is pertained and based on some sexual image to keep your mind focused on whatever they're trying to sell in a different way so that you'd want it. But outside of that, we believe love is really the most important thing on the planet. All right, I'm going to be doing a whole thing on that because the concept of love is a limited idea. It's limited to a person's viewpoint as well, and has nothing to do with the ultimate truth. All right. I don't want to deal with that specifically right now because I want to get into the idea of why we worship a god versus a deity or both, or try to believe in both of them. They both have different abilities, do different things. Aliens are useless to soul. All right. Gods, I call them little gods or deities. They're very much the same. Each realm, like the astral plane, has 3 gods, little gods, that stop anything from going past it. The next world, the mental 3rd, 4th, and 5th plane, each have a god. Not the god, a god. A little god. Meaning they're responsible for anything that goes past it. It's like in a school. You have one person controlling the whole school, the principal. And then you got your teachers. It's the same with every world. It's kind of the same thing. You learn from kindergarten, you go to the 2nd grade, 3rd, 6th, high school, college. You learn. Hopefully you're learning when you're walking your path here. But nobody teaches you anything of the things you need to learn. Oh, we learn by every day. You don't learn anything important any day unless you're focusing on spiritual awareness. Nobody, and I know everybody out there is going to hate this, nobody is spiritual. Oh, well, many people. No. What makes a person spiritual? Again, write down what you think spiritual even means. Dude, I asked thousands and thousands of people. Anybody I say, oh, you're spiritual. What makes you spiritual? Well, I send unconditional love to the world. Sending something out to the world that doesn't do anything makes you spiritual? I forgive people. Well, good for you. Just because you forgive somebody, their karma is their karma. And they got to pay it off. They kill somebody, the whole family could forgive him, but he's not forgiven. Not by his own karma. Forgiveness is a man-created word. And now, let me break this to you people, whether you accept it or not. It's your choice. I can only tell you my truth, my experience, my direct perspective, and experience. I'm aware of all my lifetimes back to Atlantis. That's saying a lot. It is a lot. But listen to this. Out of all of them, outside of my present life, only 2 were very important. All right? When I say that, when we reincarnate, oh, I'm this, and I'm aware of it. No, you're not. Very few souls are aware of anything when they come back to this lifetime. Sure, right now, within the past 10 years, children are a little more aware of their past life. It's a step. It's the first step in becoming aware. All right, your past life. Knowing at least how much karma you're going to deal with and hopefully what you did, because that's already based on the karma that you had to get to that point. Karma is critical, and people don't even want to believe that. But when we come into this lifetime, we come in with that karma. So when we go back into these other lifetimes, you can see what created the karma in your lifetimes and why you kept reincarnating. I'm not going to go into my story today. I have one reason why I came back in this lifetime. One. And I have the answer to it. So there's no reason for me to come back. Now, this is what I wanted to say. The 2 most important time frames in all my incarnations, which were many. I was a priest, a minister, a rabbi, you name it, I was that. Does that make me better? No. Did it help me? No. Why? Not one path in any path that you will follow, listen to, take, or try to believe in will teach you anything about a real God. And there is one. Whether you want that or not, scientists, even the top scientists said, well, there has to be some creative entity that makes us move forward. Meaning a cell mutates. It will never mutate to the perfect body, which we were. We're destroying that, but we were the perfect body. The immune system would destroy any bacteria that came in. Native people only died usually by being run over by a buffalo or a horse. I mean, it wasn't like the diseases got to them. They could find a cure for whatever sickness they got right away. So it's a lot different when you have that lack of awareness. All right. So when we talk about past lives, they're real critical, providing you learn from them and you see what you learn from each one. I could say many lifetimes I was stuck in the program. I call it The Matrix. The movie with The Matrix is very similar to what it is. It's a game. And you're going through life. I go out, I'm going to learn something today. I learned the definition of Batman was a fake guy. I mean, you could say a lot of things. Did that help you spiritually aware in any way? All right. It didn't, and it won't. The words man create take us further away from the truth, God. All right. Definitions that we try to perceive as real and try to create something about it. I mean, a fruit, a car. We created the car. We created the word. Is it important to soul? Of course not. Does it help soul to learn anything about what soul really is? How to get off this planet, where it's going to go? Now, getting back to what I was trying to say, not one of these paths, including Christianity, talks about a real God. Moses never explained anything about a real God. Ever. He didn't even know what God was trying to teach him, or show him, or allow him to experience. He did things, but he didn't know why. The promised land and all those stories. There's stories. But why would Moses walk these people around in circles and circles and circles for 4 generations? Because everybody had to die to get to the promised land. And the promised land wasn't a physical, it was not a physical place where they went to. Meaning, oh, they got to the promised land. And what did they do when they got to the promised land? Moses wasn't allowed in. Why? Doesn't say in the Bible. What did they do when they got to the promised land? Do you have a clue? They slaughtered all the people that were there. So this religious group of spiritual people, religious people, they didn't use the word spiritual, went to a place which they were guided and told to go to kill everybody? It's the same as Moses when he came up the mountain and he saw all these things going on. The way he justified killing them, he called them demons. So he had 3,000 people killed. The same thing when the Christians and the Spanish went into the United States, they called native people Indians. They called them demons. It made it easier for them to kill them. That's why they would always related the devil to being red. Redskins are demons. It made it easy to kill them. All right, to kill another soul, not the soul of the body that the soul exists within. There's a lot of truth to the stories, but the true meaning behind it aren't there. All right, why they did it for a reason. Everything man does is for a reason, whether it's subconscious or conscious. Now, people like Gates and Musk think they're God, play God, and guess what? They don't have the right to be. Now, I have to say this because I say it all the time. All right, being aware of all my life, I'm going to go back to that. Sorry I go in circles. My first life was in Atlantis. It was the only time planet Earth was actually in a bliss, pure God state, for a word. I call it the Garden of Eden. That was the closest we would ever come to the Garden of Eden. All right? We did not eat meat. We did not kill. And you couldn't cheat, lie, or any of those words. We didn't talk much. It was direct perception from each other. So if you stole something, you just stole my car. I mean, but obviously you didn't have a car. But I'm just saying, you're totally aware. The other thing that existed in Atlantis that was taken away was called psychic abilities. A psychic now, a healer, has maybe 1% of the abilities. All right. In Atlantis, 32 psychic abilities existed, and we could use any one of them. We couldn't use them badly. We had no bad conception. We couldn't relate to the word. We didn't understand that word because we didn't have it. And then 3 alien races came down to destroy the Atlantis people. All right. And then we were programmed to become what we are today. Massive killers, rapists, animal eaters, you name it. Destroyers. Egotistical idiots. All right. We did that. God didn't do it. God didn't make us do the things we do. The story, now, I'm sorry I do this to you. The story of Adam and Eve. Somebody was talking about clothes, and I said, well, why did man think clothes or nudity was wrong? What perception gave man that idea? Well, we saw each other naked. You're born naked. You come out of a naked body. So what would be wrong about it? It's man's twisted programming that created it. Not Adam. Adam and Eve isn't a real story anyway, but basically the idea of that became programmed to humans. Now, even in the time frame in history, the nude statues, they said it was perverted, and they started removing certain body parts off the statues and carving fig leaves and putting things over the body parts. Nirvana is a good word, all right, but it doesn't pertain to God, all right? you're in a body that has the five senses, which actually pick up all these perceptions of what's emotional feelings and vibration and love and all those concepts. Very limited words. I said, I'm not going to get into love really deep today. I don't have the time to. Love will take a day to explain and get into and understand. Not the programmed idea that the world's based on love. It is not. Love isn't important on this planet. It doesn't help the planet. Relationships are dying more so than being stronger and building on what they should be. All right. Commitment is not a word anymore. I mean, the vows that were made when you got married were important at that. They are not important anymore. All right. The idea of life to we'll stay together and worship and pray and do all these things together, respect each other till death do us part. That doesn't exist anymore. Didn't exist for a long time. And 60 to 70% of marriages are breaking up. And that's scary. And the ones that stay together aren't very close. I'm not saying there's not beautiful families happily and together and all that. There are. It boggles my mind when I see it. It makes me really tear up. I said, man, they found it. All right. And it's not even through God, it's through each other. And Kundalini and all those other words, they try to get to that energy. You can't. All right. Oh, you can do it by yourself. No, you can't. Love is connecting to something, not yourself. And I'm not going to go into that, but it is not yourself. All right. There's many things I would debate any teacher on this planet, any lama, any medicine man, any spiritual person has no clue what they're talking about. Saved by the Light, the book, Saved by the Light. Really? Conversation with God. Really? I challenge them every day. I said, you ever grab a pair of balls? Want to talk about the truth? Come on, we'll do it live or off the air. I'm not doing this for fame or fortune or money. I'm only trying to put the truth out there. People that are ready, and there are people ready to move forward. Meaning not reincarnating back to planet Earth. Learning that planet Earth is hell. This is where you go. This is the bottom of the barrel. Jesus never taught about staying here. He always talked about leaving. He talked about the other worlds getting back towards God. Nobody perceives that part. Oh, he came, he took our sins away, he died on the cross. He died on the cross for one reason only, people. Because he came back. He had to show what he was teaching about reincarnation, or soul is eternal. But he couldn't prove that if he didn't do it. Nobody would understand that word. Life after death. After Jesus was killed by some of his own people, his own followers, all of them, doubted the whole thing. Well, now it's time to go back to real life. They were ready to let go everything Jesus taught them. But most of them didn't know anyway. And here's a sad part of the Bible. Don't forget, 2,000 years ago, women were never respected. Ever. I'm not talking about a queen. I'm not talking like one of the only people in the Bible really important or in history was Joan of Arc. All right. And that's sad. It's really sad. But that was alien programming since Atlantis went down. Souls were equal at that point. All people were. All right. There was no better, worse, this, that, or anything. But it was destroyed. Aliens can't perceive. They don't have feelings and emotions to the level that we do. There's multiple reasons why they're here. That's the second reason. The number one reason is for food and energy. Period. You want to believe that or not, that's your choice. Almost every race that's here use us for food, semen, blood. That's all. Not for what we know, not for our knowledge, not for learning something from us. All right? Yeah, some of them, the smaller, weaker races are trying to learn about love, which they don't have the abilities. Their body's not equipped with the five senses that we are. Again, we don't need them because soul doesn't need them. If you learn how to listen to soul, you'll learn what's right and wrong. You'll know what to do. It doesn't make the situation perfect. Scenario. I'll use a simple one. You're going to the corner of the block and you see the lights change. So you start running and your thought says, hurry up and run across the street. And another one says, no, just stop and wait for the light to change. Now, you've got two choices. Only two. And one of them could be life or death. And if you choose the wrong one, guess what? You get hit by a car. All right, you choose the right one, you don't get hit by a car. So soul is aware. It's not in the same time frame that we're in, split seconds. It's before and after. So it's always aware. That's what awareness means. Being aware of everything, which mankind's brain is not. So in any scenario, when anybody on this planet says they're an aware being, aware of what? What are you aware of? Psychics on this planet, all these healers that you go to, don't have any great abilities. You know, and I'll explain it. I took hypnosis when I was 12. I was teaching, I was doing hypnosis to groups of people by the time I was 14. And by the time I was 25, I was doing past life regression, psychic implant removals, and things like that. But when I started, I learned so much about hypnosis, all right, programming, and things like that. All right. So we can't say we know what we're doing. I could program you to think anything you want, which is what happened when Atlantis was destroyed. The mind became an open box. It's a box. You take thoughts from your teacher, your parents, and it becomes your program. A very pathetic program you're run by. Why there's so many homeless and poor people? 90% of the planet is living in poverty. So when people say they're spiritual, Gates, Musk, I call him Bosco, $5.5 billion to go in a plane trip. How many children on a planet he could have saved? But he wanted his cheap drill to get high. What a pathetic way of life. I've been trying to get in touch with Oprah for 25 years. She won't reply. She thinks she's karma free. She also says she's spiritual. All right? How can you be karma free and spiritual and doesn't base anything on ego? She lives on ego. That's all she has, ego and money. All right? She listens to Deepak Chopra and Eckhart Tolle. They have no awareness of any kind of a God. And please, anybody out there wants to debate it, or I'd set it up to debate them anytime, any place, worldwide, offline, because I don't want people to be a complete fool in front of the whole world if they don't want to be, especially if they're making their money off of people, which is what they do. You know how you make money? You tell somebody to make them happy, and they'll give you all their money. All right? If you can believe a lie, it's easy to get you to do anything. Give me $10,000 and I'll give you the most beautiful reality that you ever wanted. Really? Satan works pretty well on this planet. Demons do, all those kind of things actually are growing in number. Satan's army. I had an exorcist on my show a couple days ago. He's one of the top exorcists in the United States. Anybody out there that thinks they're free and clear and all this stuff, he's a cool person. Pull up his site. Stay clear. Simple, stay clear. Pull up his site. Check him out. He helps people that aren't even aware of what's going on, parents that need help with their children or their family. He's the person to call. He'll help clear it. He doesn't even have to come to your house. See, when I do that kind of work, I need to be next to the person, the way I do it and what I learned. But he works with aliens. He works with angels. He works with a lot of different things. Credible person. I don't agree with him on everything. He's not totally aware of bad aliens. He doesn't work with them. He doesn't know much about them. But again, does he claim to work with God? No. Does anybody at a spiritual place claim to work with God? Not really. But when you go to these people trying to make money off of you, evangelists and these people that whack people on the head and say, in the name of God, you're cured and things like that, you can't tell God what to do. And anybody that thinks they can are creating karma for themselves. And the person that accepts that absorbs that karma. People, if you have a question, put it in the chat room. If you have anything you want to know, ask, or anything, something important to say. I live with a Buddhist, and it's really hard. It's hard living with people that don't believe in God. Believing in consciousness is not even important in me, because a consciousness is the idea that there's this one consciousness and we all feed off of it. Well, in reality, we're a small part of God. But without one simple word, it is totally useless. And that's called awareness. Not awareness of being alive on planet Earth. That is useless. Until you understand in the next world, the astral plane, how to get there, how to go through the realms, and how to get beyond the astral plane, things are very unimportant. In your reality, it might be important because, oh, I got a nice new car today. I got a job that pays me lots of money. But you know zero about a real God. You know zero about what's really going to happen after death. Now, I'm going to shift over to that question right now. What is death? The body dies. It dies every so often. It can only live 125 years right now. And then it has to leave. Whether it keeps it in good condition or not. Usually it lets the body run down and you're out of here by 80 or 90 max. Few people want to live to 100, watch their family die and things like that. That's their choice. Again, it's not aware. We're in hell. Awareness means you're aware that you don't need to be here and you need to get out of here. You don't want to come back. You're not going to come back to save the planet. So, okay, what is your awareness? What do you think you are? How much do you really know about God and what God really wants? What makes you think God cares about anybody in this realm? Oh, it has to, because the Bible said so. All right, you know, people put so much faith in the Bible, a book like the Emerald Tablets, the Sumerian Tablets. People believe that. It was written by man. Man has no conception of a God. Well, I'm not saying I don't know everybody, so I can't say to people back different ones, but they don't or never had proof of it or was able to give any proof of it. The same as now. People say they're psychic. Prove it. Say you're God. Prove it. Do one thing. Well, if I don't have to prove who I am, you can't prove who I'm not saying I'm God. I'm not saying I'm super powerful. I don't even use the word religious or spiritual. When I become spiritual, I will leave this planet and not come back. Anybody becomes aware, totally aware, there is no reason to come back here. It's like, who do you want to teach? You want to stay on planet Earth and work with a pile of ants? You want to go to the next realm and work with beings that are a little more aware and radiate light at least. All right. There's a lot of things to learn. And there's nobody teaching it. And that's why I'm saying I'm doing a workshop. I promise you it's going to be twisted and you're going to hate a lot of things because you hate the truth. But I also promise you this. You'll learn incredible things for yourself to grow and become aware. Because I can't make you that. Nobody can. But if you know the right way to look for it, work for it, and find out about it and understand it, it could be beneficial. But if you believe you're protected from everything by God or Jesus, guess what? Did you see your son get run over by a car? Did you see, well, you're not protected. God and Jesus wasn't working on protection, but God doesn't protect your body. You're going to have a couple hundred of them, maybe thousands. It protects your soul. And that could be forever, eternity. But, you know, man twists everything to make it fit what his ego is believing in. I said if I talked to Oprah, I could change her thinking in 15 minutes. All right. But people want to believe their truth. I told you to write it down before. What is your truth? You have none. Oh, yes, I do. You can believe a lot of things. Can you prove something to yourself? Can you prove God exists? To yourself, not to the world. Oh, yeah, I can. I was in a car and I was pulled out. What makes you think it's God? How can you prove that that was God? When I died, I had a death experience and God told me, sorry, man, I'm allergic to something today. God told me. God told you what? To come back? If you were aware you wouldn't come back, you wouldn't have to. I had 5 death experiences. My last one, I was told I didn't have to come back. I chose to finish off my karma, finish off everything that I wanted to do, finish my last book. All right. But I told you before, I found a reason why I was reincarnated, I say incarnated into this lifetime. to get an answer. And I was aware of all my lifetimes. I'll say this, whether you like it or not. I was alive and living with Jesus. Mary Magdalene was my closest friend. I was a female. I got to be with Jesus as he was teaching and died, killed. Uh, Mary Magdalene had a daughter, had to leave the country. Thomas left too. Most of the other disciples were killed. All right. Uh, again, what were they doing? Why people would hate them? Giving them freedom. Anything that stays here is attached because Satan's creating the energy to stay here and believing it's a great place. Why do you think they always say Satan will give you anything you want? It will. Even Bob Dylan did a short segment. It's online. Well, I sold my soul to Satan. And when I did, every song he ever wrote became a gold song. Even if he gave it to somebody else, it still became a top song. And he said, I'm not the only one that did it. So, when you're aware of doing something that bad, guess what? You're stuck. You got karma. Just let me read this real fast. Okay, I hear what you say, Carl. Thank you for that. You don't have a choice. You have karma. You have to come back and pay it off. You can't say, I don't want to come back. It is not a choice, people. Nobody says, I'm going to come back and be in my family. Only when you have zero karma or limited karma, I should say, can you come back to your family and be a child and your daughter's child or whatever. But you're not going to be aware, which is even worse. So you're starting your whole thing all over again in the same energy when you could take a new energy and try to learn something better or greater. All right? We don't learn much here. Reincarnating is not the answer. The answer is you can attain spiritual awareness in this lifetime. First, you have to learn how to leave your body. That is the first step, period. Once you step out of your body, you can meet with angels, and they will teach you things of the next realm, not here. And you will learn things much more important, because when you die, now you have that awareness. Right now you die, you don't even know how to leave your body in the right way. Where you're going to go, what you're going to do when you get there. If I took you and threw you in the middle of a jungle in Africa, what would you do? Survive for how long? You don't know. It's not going to be beneficial. Learning the things you need to learn before you get to a place is much more important. You're going to go on a trip. You usually take out a map and look and see where you're going to go, what you can do. All right? When you go to heaven, what do you think you can do? Angels are going to walk around you and show you everything, teach you everything? No. You didn't learn anything, so why should they spend all their time? They were here trying to teach you. Every soul here has angels around them. Every one of them, good or bad. Whether you listen or not is your problem. And the first technique, once you learn to leave your body, you learn to meet your angels or guides. And then you can learn incredible things in a much faster time. Because when you're out of your body, time changes. You could do 5 years of work in 20 minutes that you can do here in 5 years. So learning that is the first step in becoming spiritually aware. I spent 45 years doing that. I had 5 death experiences. So my experiences came out of truth, not somebody's book, somebody's story. I listen to people. When you have one death experience, it opens the door. But here's the problem, people. When you die, mind's here and you're there. Soul's looking at all this stuff and it comes back in. And when it comes back, mind takes over again. Mind tries to translate what you just experienced, and it can't. So it always goes to, that was God, Jesus, or my mother or father. That's all it knows. And God's not going to sit there and say, well, you got to come back. God's not going to worry about that. That's why he created all these little gods and angels. It doesn't have to bother with all the stupid people here. There's 8 billion people here right now? You think it has to care about this planet when there's billions of planets, all with a bunch of stupid idiot people? And it's going to sit down and play with each one of them? Oh, you're a good person. Let's bring you here. Let's show you this. No, it's not like that. You never have to be better, people. I mean, put that in the chat room. You don't have to get better ever. You can stay here and reincarnate over and over. If you sell yourself to Satan, you'll love it here. There'll be no reason to leave. But next time you'll get a little more money, or you'll have a lot more relationships, whatever you think's important. Musk thinks he's saving people. Gates thinks he's saving people, helping people. 5G is destroying the planet. 6G is even worse. 4G was no good. Mr. Musk is going to put 26,000 satellites around the planet. I'm into the UFO world. I've seen tons of ships and UFOs once in a while. It's hard to see a satellite. They're small. They're not big. They don't have super spotlights on them or anything like that either. I don't want to get into that right now. I'm trying to get you into the concept of God and aliens. Who do you pray to? Who do you worship? Who do you follow? Who do you believe in? You could say you believe in God, but you follow an alien. You could say you believe in aliens, and you are following aliens. When you follow God, it becomes different. Well, not like God's going to make everything rosy for you, because it's not. God will help you work out that karma. Especially if you're on the path to truth. Without truth, you're not going to get there. Karma will continue forever if you keep creating it. And mankind does that. Look at the world today. We are pretty much in the worst condition that the planet has ever been in. In the old days, they didn't have the same effect of destroying the planet, hurting the air, hurting the water, and the plants and everything. All plant life on this planet is only about 25% of the vitamins and minerals it had 50 years ago. That should give you some kind of awareness of like what we're doing to the planet. Never mind the weather is so screwed up. Why? The ozone layer is so small right now. That used to block a lot of things from coming in, but now it's so little it can't. When we send a rocket up, you don't think it destroys the ozone layer? They don't talk about that. They can't talk about things that they do that they know are destroying the planet. And they won't. The same as the government did not release anything important about aliens or UFOs. They can't. People, it's time to wake up. You want to listen to UFO people, ancient aliens, and all those kind of people that are pretty out there locked into some programmed ideas. Oh, they're here to help us. No, aliens have never helped us. They destroyed us. Tesla worked with an alien. His free energy also created 50 of the most dangerous weapons on the planet that are destroying it right now. Quantum physics and time travel are the most evil things to play with. Oh, time travel? We could go back and destroy the whole universe. Our universe. People don't look at what we do. The Philadelphia experiment was a real story. And we went back in time, went forward in time, went back in time, and forward in time. We destroyed something, somebody was killed. Which meant they had to go back to rearrange the history of the families that were being destroyed. If I kill you right now, all those families you could have had, the children could have had, will not come into reality. So when they killed somebody, when they went back in time, they had to go back and try to change that. I was friends with the person that did. The only person documented or really went back in time. All right. He was offered $4 million 18 years ago to go back in time to kill somebody. He's dead now, so it doesn't matter. I can say whatever I want because it's not going to hurt him. He's already dead. He told me when they were going to kill him. He was in a cycle, 20-year cycle. They couldn't touch him until the 20-year cycle ended, which it did. The day the 20-year cycle happened, if you remember, you can go and check this out, Canada to Florida had a blackout. No possible reason why. But it was a cycle. Now, when that happened, what the Philadelphia experiment created was called a vortex. It's the worst vortex on the planet, except the new one they're trying to create. All right, it's up in Wanacue, New Jersey. I did all my UFO stuff, research there. Nobody wants the truth about the most important UFO story ever told or not told. Phil Snyder's the second most important UFO story, and you should read that at least. Because the Montauk Project and the Philadelphia experiment, only a few people tried to write about it, and they put their twisted stories into it. I was up there. I got to see Tesla's notes. He said he worked with aliens. And at the same time, where he was working with DuPont underground, Wanacue was a city, and they flooded part of the city. Actually, flooded the whole city. And it became Wanacue Reservoir. And for 9 months, ships went in and out of that reservoir while the army was stationed around it. Do you hear much about that? It's fact. Well, Sergeant 18, who I did all my UFO stuff with up there, we went up onto the vortex where Tesla was working, and we went inside there, and we saw all kinds of creatures, entities, you name it. Nobody wants to hear that. Oh, you're making it up. Well, no, I'm not. I got no reason to. I'm not making money off of anything I say. And I'm not doing this to make money. All right. But again, when that was happening, and the army they stayed there for 9 months. The ships went right through the ice inside, and you name it, they kept going in and out to this underground city that they flooded. Whatever the reason was, or whatever, nobody really knows. But the story was never told. But during my travels up there, working up there, I got involved with the Montauk Project. The first step the government took to do one of the worst things they ever did in the United States. But the next thing closest to that right now is CERN, CERN. And now, this you might not believe either. When they opened up the vortex in Wanacue, we started seeing all kinds of strange creatures and things like that. Sargel is no longer my friend. He blacklisted me after we did our last show with Coast to Coast. Kerry Cassidy. We did it for 9 months. He came into a lot of money. He's doing well. I don't know if he's hiding from the government, hiding from life, whatever. He does that every so many years for a while. He made friends with me, made enemies with me, made friends after 9 years. We did a show for 9 months. He came into money, and then now he's no longer my friend again. He blames me for a lot of things. But we were the first people to film orbs, go public. We did a lot of things that nobody else did. We went around the United States showing people they can film orbs anywhere. We got them out at nighttime to do that. We had pictures of ships that nobody else had. Real ships, not dots. So yeah, it was a critical thing. I don't know what he is. I know he was pretty sickly for a while. He said he was going to give me all the copyrighted photographs that we had, which are over 2,000. All right. But that all went down the tubes. He suddenly just blacklisted me, which is fine. I'm not here to please anybody, especially when it comes to truth. Nobody wants the truth. I just want to read this question real fast. Give me a second here. The question again, no, we're not here to go around in circles. We create that problem. Soul can go and move on and on. Now, I'm going to say something. Now, this you're not going to have to believe either. We go mental plane, etheric plane, soul plane. Soul is where soul is actually itself. It can go beyond that to the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th worlds. But it goes alone. It works alone from then on. Right? You're kind of like a god, your own god in your own reality. Now, say you're the god of Matrix. You play with it, do whatever you want. But you already are conditioned and learn the rules of creation. You're not going to create creatures and send them down into the lower world to destroy it. Now, that's where God pays attention to who and what you are. Because it can't allow that. That's why all the angels were cast out of the higher realms and pushed down into the lower realms. They started fighting. God's incredible. All right, and it's not some stupid idiot that sits there and says, "Hi, you're a bad boy today." No, it's not like that. God grants us greater things every time we take a step forward. It gets better, people. You can't imagine no pain, no suffering, no sickness, no lying, no cheating, no karma, no rape, no murder, no things like that. When it doesn't exist, you're living in peace. All right, now you can start learning what love really means. And it gets better from the astral plane to the mental plane to the etheric plane. All right, that's the last body you'll hold on to. the soul body. But you can let go of that too. All right. It gets better, people. I put my life on the line. I study religion. They had its limitations as well. Religions are limited, and they're always programmed by one person leading it. I don't want a following. I could have had a following 24 years ago. I could have had a direct following of 500 people right from the start. And I said, no, I'm not here for a following. All right. People that need followers are already playing God in their own mind, thinking they're God. And here's the thing about those kind of people. They usually will not teach you the things to move forward, to go past them. Because then you'll be useless to them. And basically, if you have them paying you like a student, you always have money coming in. It's always based on things that aren't pertaining to God, awareness, and truth. If you search those things out, you'll grow incredibly. If you're willing to let go of the idea of what you think God is, what life is about, what love is about, you can take a giant step. But if you think planet Earth is love, why don't you see it everywhere? You don't see it nowhere. Why isn't it making things better? It isn't. Because that's not what important. Love only is in existence for 2,000 years. And Jesus didn't come here to teach love. He only showed it. When he married Mary Magdalene, it was respect to a woman and everything else when that happened. And they were able to see that, how they related. It was short because she got pregnant and he was killed. His daughter was born when he was already dead. All right. Being spiritual doesn't mean it's going to be good. Not here. Not in this realm. That's what I'm saying. When you become aware enough not to come back here, and when they see Jesus is going to come back, why? They killed him when he was here, and he did nothing wrong. So if he came now, when everybody thinks they're God, they're part of God, and why would they need Jesus? That's why aliens are saying that he was an alien. They don't want to give him any more power. Mankind's trying to say he wasn't real, he wasn't here. So, truth is being squashed, the real truth, being fed with more lies. The Bible is written by mostly lies. Jesus didn't say half of the things that are in the Bible. And what he did say was twisted to form a different idea. But what he did say, and I have to support it, he says it's easier for a camel to go through an eye of a needle than a rich person to get into heaven. Heaven meaning the astral plane. He explained the realms. He talked about his father's rooms, not bedroom, living room, dining room, kitchen. The realms that you go through to attain awareness and become greater in awareness as soul, not as a person, not an ego. We do need ego here. Yes, we do. Or we wouldn't be anything. But there's a control over it. It doesn't have control over us. And most rich people lose that control. Money destroys everything. All right. I'm not going to go too much longer. I got into some things today. I just wanted to, my co-host didn't come on. We would have been talking about UFOs mostly. But again, do you follow aliens for your teaching? Do you follow deities for your teaching? What do you follow for your truth? A book? A piece of paper that somebody had to write on? Even if it was a carved tablet. Does that make it more spiritual, more meaningful, beneficial, helpful? Sorry, people, we take the wrong things for granted and assume that they're right. Well, my mommy told me, why would my mother lie to me? Why would your father lie to you? Why would your friends lie to you? Because that's all they can do, because they don't know the truth themselves. What you don't know, you try to fill in. All right, I'm not here to play games like all these UFO people are, trying to tell you that they're going to be good, they're going to help us. They're not. They got nothing to help us with. Soul awareness only comes from within you. Period. No matter what religion, what path, whatever. The only true awareness comes from inside you. And if you don't know how to experience it, you're not going to get no awareness. If you're going to believe the ideas that will stop you from growing within those ideas, like about reincarnation. Well, we don't believe in reincarnation. Well, guess what? You're not going to learn the truth ever. You're not going to believe in karma. Buddhism teaches karma, but that's your choice to believe it or accept it or not. But then again, do you want to work it out? Oh, I'll go to a healer and he'll just take it away. It doesn't get taken away. You work things yourself to get rid of them, heal them, remove them. You can heal yourself. You can do a lot of things. I did it so many times for myself. All right. I had 5 death experiences and I'm here again still, right? My time's over. The world's not moving forward. And it's sad. Can I change it? No. I can change a few souls that might want to move on. And I'm happy to do that. Because if one soul gets out of here, it's a pleasure for them, and I'm sure they'll learn that right away. But people like Oprah, I tried. Because I feel if I could just touch her, help her become aware, she could take a giant step in her own spiritual growth and help the world greatly. She built a school in Africa. I don't know how many girls were in this school. Guess what? They all got raped. So whose karma do you think that is? You don't put something somewhere without guidance. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a workshop. I don't even know how many weekends it's going to be. At least 2 weekends in a row. Probably 3. And then maybe 4th. But I will give a person a phone number, 24-hour phone number to call anytime they have a problem or need to ask a question. I don't give people help and not support it and back it up. These people go to UFO conference. Oh, the aliens are going to come help you. Call them. Stephen Greer is trying to teach people to talk to aliens. I'm not going to tell you to talk to God. Talk to your angels, but not aliens. So, with that, I hope you got something out of it today. Please forward this link to everybody you know. Click on the thing on there, down there, become friends on YouTube. This way you'll get my links when I do a show. I usually don't get into it too heavy. When I have my partner, the other person I do the show with, she's really not into talking about spiritualism because she was abducted many times. She's not protected. So why would she believe in protection? The government didn't protect her. God didn't protect her. So how could she believe in these things? It's hard when the opposite's happening. So with that, people, look, awareness is easy to attain. Just takes a long time to attain it. You have to be willing. Have to be able. All right. I'll give techniques and stuff. I'll give you a 30-day technique that'll help you attain it. At least the beginning of it. But it's 30 days you have to commit to. If you can't commit to 30 days, you'll probably never attain it. I was lucky. It just happened instantly. I'm not talking when I saw an alien or when I met with the deity. I don't even call that the point. When I stepped out of my body for the first time. And I saw 10 years of my future of my life. Within a short period of time. I'm not getting into that story. But we each have a way of things we could do to help it happen. If we don't open up and be aware of those ways, we'll never hear it. God doesn't talk to us. Angels do. If we listen. But you think I'm going to keep talking to you 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, and you keep turning your head? Should I keep talking to you? My workshop's probably going to be within 2 months. I got a lot of things to set up because it took me a year to get it together. There's so many ways. I want to at least open a person up to every aspect of truth that I can, because with that space, you'll be able to think about awareness. If at that point you can't, you'll probably never move into awareness. Because if you can't let go of a lot of things, you're not ready to move on. And you're going to think planet Earth is the place to come. My email is hawksblood1@aol.com. Please text me. Questions, answers, when, how to stay in touch, and things like that. I do a show at least once a week, twice a week, whatever. Sometimes I get into certain things a little more than others. But we're here for a really important reason, ourselves. We're not here for the planet. Remember that. Hell wasn't created for everybody to stay in hell. There was a movie called Lucifer. It was my favorite movie on TV. It's on Netflix right now. But it's about Lucifer, the devil, coming, and he suddenly likes life on planet Earth. And we're talking about Lucifer. He's not Satan. But then he gets into the whole idea of God, his father, and then his mother comes. It's just a cool story. It's twisted and everything, but it's just fun to think in a different way about God, Jesus, the devil, demons. Main thing is to know that they're all real, and they're not just real in your mind. Sure, you can dream and make things happen and change things, but the reality, it is itself. If I dream of you in my dream, am I changing you? No, you're still you. So we can invade each other's dreams as well. That's a possibility. I mean, Bob Dylan's song, "Let Me Be in Your Dream." I'll let you be in mine, if I could be in yours. Uh, Kind of a real reality, but that's kind of like closer to remote viewing, which is very evil. All right, people. I hope you got something out of today. Hawksblood 1 here. All right. Uh, Hawksblood1, AOL.com. I read my emails all the time, good, better, and different. I reply to all my emails. I don't hide from the truth. I don't hide from trolls or anything else that tries to attack me, which do once in a while. When you have any kind of light, things will come towards you. Everything will come towards you. So as you become aware, you get a light, you have a brighter light, and you'll be affected by a lot more things. It's like Satan becomes more active in your reality. Just the way it is. You put a light on and all the moths go flying into it, the mosquitoes go flying into it, they all go burn themselves up, but they'll go into the light. And that's the way it should be with yourself as far as the light. Do everything you can to get into it. But you got to go through it. You can't go through a light bulb, but go through the light. And you'll be surprised what's on the other side. Another step. So people, peace, love, compassion, whatever you need in your life, I hope you get it. Hope you find it. And here I am. I don't go too far. Thank you. Calling from the big island of Hawaii. Till next time.